Welcome to the Batesville City Council, moving our city forward. Mayor Rick Ellenbaugh, City Clerk Denise Johnson, City Attorney Tim Meitzen, and your council members from left to right, Paige Hubbard, Landon Reeves, Scott Fredericks, Brittany Bennett, and from right to left, Fred Krug, Julie Hinkle, Chris Poole, and Rob Roberts. Welcome you to the meeting.
Now 5:30, I'd like to call the meeting to order. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Nick Baxter to open us up in prayer.
If you will, let's pray. Almighty God, infinite wisdom and truth, I pray for the mayor and his council and all the leaders at every level in this city. I ask that grace bring truth, justice, and stability to the city. Give them power and courage to do what is right and to rule in fairness. Please, God, guard and protect those who serve to protect us here at home and around the world. I pray for our community, families who have had to release their loved ones to you this week. Please hold and comfort them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I'd like to hire Nick to do our...
Okay, Ms. Johnson, would you please verify the roll?
Yes, sir, they are all present.
Okay, is there a motion?
Julie, there you go, thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Approval of agenda. Is there a motion to approve the prepared agenda?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, next on the agenda is citizens' comments. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to address the council, please come or signify by raising your hand. I don't see anyone at this time, so we'll go ahead and move to not unfinished business, to new business. And I'm going to, if it's okay with the council, I'm going to go ahead and skip down to agenda item E on there, and because I do know we have a couple council members that have to head out.
I do not have to leave early now.
Okay, but we do have one, so,
Okay.
but we're going to go ahead and do that if it's okay with everybody. So, on the agenda is to consider an ordinance to authorize the assurance of sales and use tax bonds for the Batesville Water Treatment Plant. And this time, Mr. Ryan Bowman, I want you to go ahead and come up here. And so if we do have any question, but would someone like to introduce the ordinance?
I would.
Okay, is there a motion to read the ordinance, the first reading by title only? Okay, we have a motion. Okay.
Second.
That motion a second. Okay, council, please cast your votes. Okay.
Motion carries.
Yeah, motion carries. So at this time, Brian, why don't you kind of give us an overview of what we have in front of us here, please?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Again, thank you for the opportunity to work with you. As I was mentioning to the mayor and others that were in his office before the meeting, I've worked with the city of Batesville for a long time. We've had a long relationship with the city, and I just want to thank you for your continued trust in myself and our firm, and we very much value the relationship that we have with the city. With respect to the ordinance before you, you'll recall that in August of last year, the voters approved, in addition to the bonds for the park and recreational improvements, the voters also approved the issuance of up to $110 million in bonds to be secured by 1% sales and use tax. That bond issue is now before you in ordinance form. We are proposing to issue the full $110 million to be secured by the collections of that 1% sales and use tax. The collections of that tax can only be used to pay debt service on this bond issue. And so if you'll look in section 2 of the ordinance, you'll see the maturity schedule for the bond issue. Interest only is going to be paid on the bond through April 1st of 2028. And then commencing on May 1 of 2028, the city will pay principal and interest in connection with this bond issue with a maturity date of April 1, 2048. The interest rate on the bond is 0.75%. In addition to that, there is a 1% servicing fee that's paid to the state agency that actually is responsible for administering the bond. That's the Arkansas Development Finance Authority. So the overall lending rate to the city is 1.75%. Again, the stated final maturity is April 1 of 2048. However, because collections of that tax can only be used to pay debt service on the bond issue. To the extent that the city receives collections over what's needed to pay monthly debt service, you can use that money to pay off the bond early at any time. So back in 2009, the voters approved a bond issue for sewer improvements and the collection of a 1% sales and use tax. And over a series of years, the city issued those bonds and actually paid off those bonds early because of those surplus tax collections. The same structure is in place for this bond issue. So while the final maturity is April 1 of 2048, I don't think that there's any doubt that the city will pay off this bond issue before that time. That will be up to the city because unlike the park bond issue, there is no trustee for this bond issue. So the city receives the monthly collections of that tax from the state treasurer's office, and then the city is responsible for paying the Arkansas Development Finance Authority on a monthly basis for the payment. So to the extent that Denise and her office want to pay off the bond early or every 6 months, it'd be completely up to the city as to how often you want to prepay this bond issue. So a pretty straightforward bond issue secured by collections of that 1% tax. The tax will go off the books when the bonds are paid in full, and those surplus tax collections can only be used to pay debt service on this bond issue. We will close on the bond issue in October, and at that time, the city will have the funds to begin the water project here in the city. So be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, any questions from the council?
I assume the interest is just calculated on a simple daily interest,
It's
simple
based on
accrual.
The 360-day.
360 days. So, of course, if we do prepay, it's not just following an amortization schedule. We're going to reap the savings of the interest
That's
accrual.
absolutely correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Ryan. Okay, Mr. Bites, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
Yes, sir. An ordinance authorizing the issuance of a sales and use tax bond for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of construction of extensions, betterments, and improvements of the water facility of the city of Batesville, Arkansas, providing for the payment of the principal of the interest on the bond and prescribing other matters relating thereto.
Okay, if there's not any other discussion, we'll go ahead. And is there a motion to suspend the rules and read the ordinance for the second reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to second. Okay, council, cast your votes.
Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Meissen?
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of a sales and use tax bond for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of the construction of extensions, betterments, and improvements to the water facility of the city of Batesville, Arkansas, providing for the payment of the principal and the interest on the bond and prescribing other matters relating thereto.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to suspend the rules and read the ordinance for the third reading by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to second. Council, please cast your votes.
Motion carries.
Okay, Mr. Meissen?
Yes, sir. An ordinance authorizing the issuance of a sales and use tax bond for the purpose of financing all or a portion of the cost of the construction of extensions, betterments, and improvements of the water facility of the city of Batesville, Arkansas, providing for the payment of the principal of the interest on the bond and prescribing other matters relating thereto.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved. Second.
Motion to second. Mr. Poole? Please cast your votes, council.
Motion carries.
Okay, motion is carried. Okay, very good. So thank you, council, and thank you, Mr. Bowman. And we will get everything signed here and hopefully send it back with you tonight. Is that correct?
Actually, you can mail that back to me. at your
Okay.
convenience,
Do you want the number?
Please.
Rip it off. Nope.
Thank you all very much.
All right,
you, Ryan.
thank you, Ryan. Safe trip home, and appreciate you. Okay, now we're going to back up, and we're going to start over here. Okay, first on the agenda is, or second on the agenda, is Police Chief, Mr. John Scarborough, with his monthly report. Please come forward.
Good afternoon. I don't really have nothing to report other than what you have on the paper. Everything's going well. We had a little less calls this month, a little fewer accidents, one more arrest, and a lot more reports. But I don't know what I can report to you guys that I haven't put on this. We have been working this week trying to get some people moved around different positions and stuff to put us back where we should be. We've got some hired. We're about full up now with personnel. And we've shuffled some people around. We're trying to fill the investigator position that we vacated when Captain Fryer moved up to the captain's position. And then we're trying to fill that investigator position. We added a couple corporal positions to help the patrol sergeants out. But other than that, I don't really have anything unless you guys have questions.
Up the radars.
The radars?
Yeah, I just wondering where we were with those.
We haven't ordered any. I mean, we have the ones that we have, and we're buying some when we get these new vehicles. But other than that, I've not.
I don't know
ordered
if
any.
they've been through their calibration or.
That they get their next month? When do they have to calibrate?
On the 15th of this month, they're coming down to certify.
Yeah. And then we're trying to get a class together by the end of this month. There's like 7 of us that our certification's expired. Try to get that redone. But we have a rifle class going next week, and we had some other classes this past week. So we have a lot of training to catch up on that we've neglected for the past couple of years. So.
Chief, I forgot to ask this morning in the staff meeting, what about our laptops?
So we have a meeting tomorrow. IT and the police department are meeting with T-Mobile tomorrow morning, looking at a piece of equipment that does the wireless internet. They was here last week and we tested it, and the speeds in town for the wireless, which what we would need, is faster than most of the fiber that we have around town. So we think we're going to be able to do that and get that going, and it's all in the hands of IT. We've got all our part done, so we'll know more tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'm hoping they get their part figured out.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns from the council? Thank you, Chief. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Fire Chief, Mr. Mark McCullum. Yeah, let's back up and let's get Damon up here. I already X'd out. You're going to be next, so. Yeah, no, I'd actually already put an X by that one. I was just getting ahead of myself, but Denise reminded me. So.
All right. Well, as far as just city operations go, nothing really significant to talk about. The plants are running well. Street department's about half-staffed as always, so we're struggling there. But we try to stay on the drainage problems and the potholes, and the repairs that we can. Try to just prioritize and get to them as best we can. But overall, things are running pretty well as far as the city goes. I would like to point out, Ryan, I appreciate Ryan coming. We did have a deadline with our lending agency, Arkansas Natural Resources, to get this bond closed. Before November 1st, we were going to lose that sweet interest rate of 1.75, and at the quantity of funds of 4.75 was going to make a big difference. So that's, I appreciate them, and we had to work through some things at the ANRD. We are still working. We still have one more thing to provide them before we can close at the end of October, which is the guaranteed maximum price, which this project, as a reminder to you guys, is a construction manager at risk project, which means we hired a contractor without a price, and now they're out for bid. They've broken the project up. They've worked with us through the design process to make the project more efficient constructability wise, which should help us on price wise. We've gone through a value engineering process, and then after that, kind of another realization of some ways to save money. And we estimate we've cut about $15 million out of the project to date. Still anxious about what the prices are going to come in, how high things have gotten and what it's gonna be, but, we are opening bids on the 17th of September, and then we'll compile then Tom, with input from the city, will compile the guaranteed maximum price, which we will present to you guys in early October, and to Arkansas Natural Resources for them to approve, and then we can close the loan. One of the great things that Ryan said, just also as a reminder, that 1 cent sales tax collection can only be used to pay the debt on the water treatment plant. We started collecting that in the second quarter of this year, so collections are coming in and piling up. And the way our Arkansas Natural Resources does it is they only want interest payments while we're under construction, which is why we only make interest payments until 28. That's the estimate of when we'll be done with construction. And then they want us to make interest and, principal payments. But if you do the math on that, the interest payments are way less than the collections as well. So there will be a point where we make a huge amount we will pay the debt down immediately as soon as we're allowed to, with a huge payment of collections that have built over years before they allow us to pay on the principal. So, and that's kind of one of the reasons also on the sewer bonds that he discussed why we pay. Not only do collections increase because our economy is growing in the community, and so it pays the debt off faster, but also we have this opportunity where they don't let us pay the principal for a while, and then once we do, we've collected a lot of money that we're able to pay that principal down in a huge chunk. And on this project, our collections are significant every year, and we'll see us. We'll pay. We'll probably make a 20 or 25% principal reduction, day one, and that's big. So anyway, that's exciting. Another project update for you. We have a sewer rehab project, which is also Seymour, which we approved the contractor at the end of last year. We are putting that job, of course it's not, we're paying that out of our own, reserves. And it's not paid with any tax. It's paid with water revenues. And we've got that project out for bids too. It'll probably be in the $6 million range is what we're hoping. So that'll be coming before you guys probably in October or November as well. And then the Parks project continues to move forward. We're waiting on a new estimate of, we're having to make adjustments because of pricing as well to that project, and we expect a new estimate in about 2 weeks. So that'll kind of give us an idea about whether we need to do more trimming and adjusting to the project, or if we're getting inside budget. So a lot of work and keeping us busy. Y'all have any questions? Anything I hadn't brought up that y'all?
You mentioned that the street department is half-staffed. I think you said it's half-staffed as usual.
Yeah.
Why is that? Lack of applicants?
Yes, very low applicant pool. That is a high labor intense. And our water construction department, which is a similar department, has reduced its size over the years, not intentionally. We've just kind of learned to work with fewer people. We're doing less, like on the water side, we're doing less. We used to lay a lot of water and sewer lines in-house ourselves, and we just don't have the people to do that anymore. So now we're just doing we might relay some small pieces, but we pretty much have gotten away from, like Broad Street was the last one where we, with our own crews, set up and said, hey, we're going to lay, 12 blocks of water and sewer line. And I honestly, it's just people don't want to get out in the heat and get in a ditch with a shovel and do hard manual labor. And it's another attribute to that is we haven't been able to keep up pay scale with the big construction companies that are probably paying 30% or more than we are. Now, they don't have the benefits that we have, but a lot of times those applicants who do those jobs aren't necessarily as concerned with, hey, you've got a good retirement and you got good health insurance. They're having to worry about paying their bills. And it's just hard.
You have to contract a lot of that out then?
So, yeah, anytime we're gonna do a water or sewer significant amount of work, nowadays, instead of doing a small to medium-sized job ourselves, we'll save those up until we have a significant amount of work, and then we'll do like a contract job, and that's big enough. Once we might piece together. We've got several little pieces around town that I think in the next few years we may look at doing a water line, contract job. We're doing a sewer line rehab job. That's essentially, we did a lot of sewer work ourselves the last 10 years. This is kind of a group of hard, difficult, and some specialized work that we don't have the skills to do in-house. And so we contracting it out, so yeah.
Last question, with regards to the bonds and the debt servicing, and really, I guess you could just read this in more detail, but you would probably know offhand. So the 1 cent sales tax services the debt obligation, right? There's a minimum monthly payment to service that debt. Any proceed or any sales tax that are raised above that debt servicing amount, are there any restrictions on those funds?
Absolutely. It can only be spent on the debt. It can only be spent to reduce the principal. So we can't use those funds for anything else.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of what I spoke of in Ryan. That's why the debt will pay off faster than the amortization schedule shows.
Yeah. So my thought was if there was no restriction on those funds, and maybe those funds could be used at that low borrowing rate for other projects.
Right.
But
No,
that's
no,
not
it's all,
possible.
like, the money we're borrowing is only allowed to be spent on the water treatment plant. Every time, so they don't give us the whole loan amount. We actually do pay apps. They approve every single payment that we make to the contractors or the engineers or whoever, and that goes through Arkansas Natural Resources, and then we pay them with their money, and then they don't give us. It's not like going and getting the $100 million loan. They give us it in tiny little pieces as we spend the money, and so and we only
Money
pay
hits
interest.
the bank, and I have 3 days to get it out of the bank back
Right.
to, yeah.
Right.
We can't draw interest on that money. We
Right.
draw interest on our sales tax money we bring in, but
What's the reasoning behind only being allowed to make interest-only payments during the construction phase?
It's it's the revolving loan fund red tape rules. As far as why they do it, my assumption is so, it's the revolving loan fund is a big pot of money that they loan out, and then they get paid back, and they make the 1%, fee, but also that's an opportunity where we're not paying that debt down. They're making that interest, and so they can make that fund bigger to then loan more money to more agencies, like the city of Batesville.
It's kind of like when you build a house and you only pay interest on that construction
Right.
loan. It's just-
Now, and that's the one thing too, is, the interest-only payments early on will be very small because, we're only,
I don't know that, yeah.
Just
It's-
depending on what you pull out.
right, that's right. So, the first year or two, there won't be a lot. But then, there'll be a lot, probably midway through the project, so. Anyway.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Rob, do you have?
Rob, do you have any?
No, I'm good.
You have a Main Street update? I know Jeff's not here.
Oh, Main
but-
Street update, yes. Yes, so I talked to Jeff last week, so today they're pouring curb and gutter. I haven't been up here to see how far they made it, but, which that's a good thing, that'll keep people from having that sharp edge to drive off in, which there has been some of that. Once they do, and they, of course, you'll notice there's gaps. They skipped where the intersections and driveways are because they're gonna have to close that long to, when they pour that long enough for it to cure. And so they'll come back and do those in small pieces and, close 6th Street for 24 hours, but they can't close all the streets at once, so they'll have to do that. And then, so most, they're working on getting the curb and gutter and the walking trail poured. Then they'll come back and, do the dirt work. There's electrical lines that have to be, and irrigation lines that'll be installed. And, I mean, they're ahead of schedule. I don't know the fine details on that, like how much ahead of schedule. Jeff's been kind of spearheading that, and I've been letting him. So I just, I'm happy to let him handle it.
And he did say, I think the lights are gonna start maybe being assembled this week.
Okay,
the new
good.
street lights or whatever was there. He did.
I knew they came in.
Yeah, when they came, and apparently they have come in, and also I know we did have some concern about this last island down here. I guess that's 6th Street. It's a little bit larger, and the behind that, Jeff finally identified that. We had an individual that had some concerns about it, but there's also going to be like some parking for like the church, Baptist and Methodist church, and that's why that island is larger on there, because it's going to you're going to have some parking in that area on those Sundays, I guess, for the church. So, and of course, I went up and made the turn, with my truck to make sure that I could make it. And it's a little tight, but like I said, there was a reasoning for that. So, okay, thank you, Damon.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, Chief McCollum.
Had pretty much an average month last month. Had 43 runs, had 3 structure fires, 4 vehicle fires, 4 medical assists, had 9 rescue runs. We're trying to knock the yearly inspections down. We got them down to 126 last month. We're finishing them up. Had 4 gas leaks. We're trying to get all the inspections done so we can start doing hose testing, ladder test, pump test, all that stuff. But that's fixing to start back up. We do every year we have the trucks go through what they call an NFPA inspection. They test oil leaks, all kinds of stuff on the trucks. That way, if something happens, then we have the paperwork showing that it did pass the inspections and stuff. Applied for a smoke detector grant through the Fire Protection Service Board. Got wind the other day through the grapevine that we may be getting it. We're going to get 250 smoke detectors. They'll have 10-year batteries on them, so you never have to change the battery in them. If we get the grant, and I think it looks pretty good, then we'll start doing that for the public. People can call in. We'll do a little home inspection on them like we did a long time ago. We'll do a home inspection for them and install a smoke detector for them. So.
Okay. On those gas leaks, or is one of those at the same place multiple times? Was that the previous month?
I think it's previous month.
When a customer hits a gas line multiple times, do we make them pay for some of that?
The gas company does.
Okay.
Yes. The
Okay.
gas company will charge them.
Okay.
Sure do.
That was in my ward.
Most of our gas leaks, though, is the drillers.
Yeah.
It's what's going on. There, in this bunch that they got now, I think it's a new crew. Damon can probably tell, but I think it's a new crew. They're a lot better at missing than the others were. We don't run on near as many gas leaks right now as we were when the old crew was in there. That's time consuming too, because we have to sit on scene until they get the gas line clamped off. So.
Thank you, Chief.
You bet.
Appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda is a budget request for DWI Court. Deputy Bruce Winston, please come up. And We have District Judge Shady Taylor, but I guess you left him at home on this one, so.
Mr. Taylor had a family matter that came up this evening, and he unfortunately was not able to
Okay.
attend.
Yeah.
If I may approach Mr. Krug, I have some
Yes,
stuff
yes,
typed
sir.
up here. It is 2 pages, it's not the whole thing, so if you'll take the top 2 pages and then pass around, please, sir.
Yeah.
No, just a small brief history to reiterate what I talked about the last time we were here. The DWI or sobriety court, it does fall underneath the umbrella of specialty courts throughout the state. Just like the drug court, veterans court, DWI court, but they each have their own specialty. The DWI court, it is designed to help people that are justice involved with DUIs, DWIs, because it's not always alcohol anymore. It could be alcohol, could be drugs, could be prescription drugs. They all fall underneath that. But it is to help them rehabilitate, change their ways, and help alleviate some of the incarceration time. It does not get rid of all of it. And it is still there as a major sanction if they do not comply with treatment and rehabilitation or any other aspects of the treatment courts. They can go back to jail at any given time. But it is designed to help alleviate that. And then in the long run, to actually change the person and the habits to prevent any further infractions later on down and throughout the rest of their life. And we have seen that over the years. Our sobriety court has been running since 2009. Judge Taylor was the first one to actually ever start a sobriety court in the state of Arkansas. And so our court was the very first one, and it is still running. It is primarily funded through state grant, but there are some things that the state grant cannot actually fund. Vehicle is one of them, and that is the primary thing that I'm here to ask for funding for. It's the county, the Independence County Sheriff's Department, and the county judge. They did sign over a vehicle. So we do have a vehicle that is fully outfitted with lights, radio, siren, cage, can be used for home visits and for transports. What we need at this point in time is a budget to keep fuel, maintenance, tires, and for it to build in the future, so whenever this vehicle needs a replacement, then there could be funding to be able to get a replacement years down the road. And that's what I'm looking for today. And the one thing is what I'm actually looking for is an original $3,000 deposit into an account, which could be run, I do have a line item that it can be run through the county, or if the city prefers to actually maintain control and I report to them on this one thing only, that is absolutely fine and doable. I could do either way. And then that would start the account, and then $500 a month for a total of $6,000 a year from the start of it. And at that point, we would want that account to be earmarked specifically for fuel, maintenance, things for the vehicle, and to allow that account to grow. So that way, if in 10 years a new vehicle is needed, the funding would already be there to be able to go and look for and purchase a vehicle at that point in time. That's what I'm trying to look for.
Who funds the staff position for that?
The
The
staff,
driver of that vehicle?
that would be myself, and I am actually, through the county and the state grant, they do have a matching fund, and that covers my salary.
What will your total budget be for the vehicle for the year? So you're asking for 6,000 from us, but what would your total intake need to be for that budget?
Basically, if there are no major maintenance issues, we're talking fuel and oil changes. So $200 to $250 a month on average, unless tires or some other type of maintenance issue was required at that point. So it would be very low unless something actually came up.
It's more of a savings account for future use.
Exactly. And in case there is a major malfunction, that something requires major maintenance.
Do you have a, sorry,
Go ahead.
do you have an estimate of the anticipated number of miles you'd be running per month or per year or what have you?
Well, one thing that we have not been able to do because we haven't had a vehicle and a budget for a vehicle was actually home visits. My plan is, once I actually have a budget and am capable to do that, then of course the mileage would increase. We do have some people that are in neighboring counties that are in the program because other counties don't have a program. So we do have some people as far as Sharp County. We do have a couple of folks that are all the way at the edge of Melbourne. So we could be looking at 500 to 600 miles a month. I mean, it's not a drastic amount, but to go out and hit the home visits on those folks would increase the mileage. So,
Yeah.
but not drastically.
But the 500 to 600, and I know that's really a speculation almost.
Yes, sir.
Would include what you anticipate for those visits? And that as
Yes,
well?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Bruce,
Yes, sir.
are you asking the quorum court to do the same?
The county actually provided the vehicle, so that's why I came to the city to try and see if at this point in time we can all work together and have some funding for fuel and maintenance, and the county did provide the actual vehicle for the startup of the program.
But at some future date, will you be asking them for funding just as you're asking the city?
Absolutely. My future goals is to be able to actually have local funding for the entire program and not have to rely on a state grant that could disappear tomorrow. Because the state grant is not guaranteed, and if that state grant was to get pulled next week, tomorrow, 6 months from now, then unfortunately, we would basically have to shutter the program that we have. And right now, we have 14 participants that are in the program. We have 2 that are actually scheduled for graduation. I put a little note on the letter there that are scheduled for graduation on October 10th. And it has made a drastic change in their life. And on the letter, it states on there that everyone is invited to attend this graduation. And if you would like to see firsthand and hear the testimonies from these people and see how they have changed their life. And I know that there are some folks that have worked with me in court here, and some have seen folks from other aspects of the specialty courts and how they have changed their lives. This program does the same thing, it's just kind of on a lower level.
What is your graduation rate statistics? What is your percentage of graduation once someone enters the program?
There actually are very few that do not graduate. Unfortunately, we did have one participant since I took over that this was an automatic dismissal from the program. He received a new felony charge while he was in the program. That is an automatic dismissal from the sobriety court. And that's the only one, and I've been doing it now for almost a year. And all the other times, I've worked with it as the law enforcement side instead of the director since around 2016. There have been maybe 5 out of all the participants that have not graduated, and it was either they totally absconded and left the area or they received a felony charge. So the graduation rate is very high. It is, once again, it's not easy for them. It's not designed to
No.
be easy. But we do have a very big graduation rate.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Bruce, thank you. We are in the budget process. We'll be starting, like I said, real soon.
Thank
So
you, sir.
hopefully we'll definitely give this a good look.
Okay, that's greatly appreciated.
All right.
And if anyone does have any questions, I can be reached at the district courthouse. And Judge Taylor was not able to make it tonight because he had a family issue that came up because he wanted to be here. So he did want me to let everyone know that he was very sorry that he was not able to make it tonight.
Okay.
Thank you for the consideration.
All right, thanks, sir. Okay, next on the agenda is executive session. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are in executive session.
Today was just another day. A day filled with work, shopping, Little League baseball. And we helped make it that way. Whether it's providing police protection or the ballpark for your son's game-winning double, a better life starts in the city limits. Arkansas's municipal communities improve our quality of life every day. This moment brought to you by your hometown. Great cities make a great state.
I'm not sure.
You're trying to take your spot, Chris.
Hey, he's leaving pretty soon anyway. Hey, he's leaving pretty soon anyway. You can have
No, he's
Okay, I
not.
think we have some reappointments. And let's see, the appeals, you have the appeals.
I have Parks and Rec.
Yeah, Parks and Rec. Let's go ahead and start with Parks and Rec then.
Okay, we have reappointment for Miss Christy Jenkins, reappointment for Mr. Kyle Kalsnick, and reappointment for Mr. Lackey Moody Jr.
Okay.
And so we would entertain
Got that in, okay.
a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second from Mr. Fredericks. All in favor of their approval, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. And Mr. Roberts?
Yeah, I have renomination, a motion for renomination for the Batesville Appeals Commission, Mr. Zach Mobley and Mr. James Boothby.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, next is financials, and like always, you can contact myself or Ms. Johnston if you have any questions. And let's go on to mayor comments. See our next meeting. What is the second Thursday of this month? 24th?
Tuesday, right?
Yeah, Tuesday, the 24th will be our next meeting. I'm gonna go ahead and move up to October because I do have a conflict with the National Parks Conference in Atlanta, and I would like to have our meetings. I think there's 5 Tuesdays, I believe that's correct, in October, but I've got us moving to October the 15th and October the 29th for our 2 meetings in October.
Okay. But it'll be for the 24th for the next one.
Yes, 24th would be the next one, but do you think we need to go ahead and put that in a motion, the 15th and the 29th? Okay, let's go ahead and
So moved.
Second.
have a motion and a second. The October meetings will be October the 15th and the 29th. Any further discussion? If not, All for approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. But although we will meet this month, our regular schedule will be the 24th. Okay, liaison reports. Okay, Ms. Johnston, council comments?
Okay, Ms. Bennett?
None.
Mr. Fredericks?
None.
Ms. Hinkle?
None.
Ms. Hubbard left. Mr. Krug?
None.
Mr. Poole?
None.
Mr. Reeves?
None.
Mr. Roberts?
None.
Okay, do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, guys.
This concludes our meeting tonight. The mayor and city council thanks you for tuning into the meeting. Our air times are Monday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 6 p.m., Friday 11:30 a.m., and all other days 4 p.m. Again, our city council says thank you and good night.